everyone, welcome to the 2025 mid-year book tag freakout. My name is Cherie and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here, which you probably are. This is my very first book tag, my very first mid-year book tag. Don't mind the hammering, that's just my husband, I don't know, hanging up some pictures, posters, who knows. But we are here, we're going to talk about books. Get cozy. I know it's not fall yet, but this guy's here just for some emotional support. So he's going to be hanging out with us, and I'm going to be showing you the books for the book tag up here. These are just some extras. They're going to be on my TBR at the end of the video, and I am also going to show you the physical copy of the One of the Questions, the Most Beautiful book that I bought this year. But first, I made some tea, so if you don't have your tea, go get your tea. Brew yourself a little pot, a little cup. I always make a face when I drink this because it's like not the tastiest, but it's supposed to be really good for you. It's turmeric and ginger with some honey. I know the lighting isn't the best in here, but whatever, we're just gonna go for it. Here we go. Question number 1, best book of 2025. Ladies and gents, I am not sad to say it was The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. Oh my goodness, what a surprise. I almost put this under the biggest surprise, but it wasn't a huge one because I mean, even by the cover it looks like it's gonna be good. It does look like a little like old school on the cover, but it doesn't read that way at all. It's got mystery, it's got paranormal activity, witches, ghosts, yeah, and kind of a little love story, but not like hardcore. I mean, it is YA, but I just thoroughly enjoyed myself, and I listened to it on an audiobook, and I would listen to it like as I got into work. I worked at a coffee shop at the time, and I would go in like super early and just have my headphones in and not want to take it out. Like, make your own coffee, I'm listening to my book. It was so good. It's one of those books that I wish I could reread for the first time again, and I want to continue the Raven cycle, but I'm just not quite ready to move on from that to the second book. So that was the best book of 2025. Best sequel of 2025, Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands by Heather Fawcett. I absolutely adored the first one and bought that one and the second one. I'm really looking forward to the Compendium of Lost Tales, but I'm waiting till it comes out in paperback, which I think is supposed to be either October or November of this year. But the second one, the sequel, Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands, ooh, so good. You have a little bit of a time warp between the fairy world and the human world. You have like little mischievous fairy guys who are like pretty evil. I love her big dog. I think it's supposed to be like Irish Wolfhound, but he's actually magical. And then just this so beautifully told, the light academia throughout with the little footnotes. So good. Let's see, 2025 new release. I actually didn't read any new releases from this year. I read a few from last year, so I just picked one of those. Obviously I was not ready for this book tag. I'm new at this, guys. What do you want from me? So The Witches of El Paso by Louis Jaramillo. I'll put it here so you can see the author's last name because I think I'm butchering it, but this I thought was gonna be good. It's got like some Mexican lore, like Mexican heritage history, and that was interesting to learn about, but I did not like the story. I didn't like the characters. I thought the characters were really flat. There was two or three different timelines, and it was woven together pretty seamlessly, but I couldn't get with the story or the characters, so I did finish it, but it was not my favorite, and that one was released, I believe, last year. Kind of going right into more negativity, the biggest disappointment of 2025 was Word Hunter by Ella Stans. I had never heard of this author before. I bought this book purely because it was about linguistics, or in this case forensic linguistics. It felt really dry, really cliche. It reminded me of a poorly written, like the main character reminded me of a poorly written girl with the dragon tattoo. Like, that's what she was trying to be, and just, like, she got home off of her motorcycle and chugged a beer, and, like, I didn't even finish it. I DNF'd it, and definitely the biggest disappointment because I really was looking forward to something with a linguistic aspect to it. I have a degree in linguistics, and I'm just obsessed with, like, words, and they had, like, a tiny bit of, like, syntax stuff, but, like, so surface level. It, like, it looked like third grader stuff. So yeah, that was my biggest disappointment. Biggest surprise of the year, shifting away from the negative into a huge positive, was the Blue Bistro by Ellen Hilderbrand. Absolutely adored this. Would reread again for sure. There's a restaurant, there's like, she lists like the menu and the day-to-day of just like running the restaurant and working in one for the first time for the main character. And then there's a romance that's done like really, really well all the way to the end, which is, I think, is difficult to do. This one felt really realistic and lived in, and I love the restaurant aspect. I used to work in restaurants mainly as either a bartender or a server, and so I never got with the show Chef because it didn't feel like realistic, gritty, true life portrayal of a restaurant, but this did to some extent. The other extent, it felt a little bit fanciful, but like in the best way, if that makes sense. Let's see, next is favorite new author. I'd have to say Maggie Stiefvater, because I want to read her new books. I think she actually has 2 coming out this year if they haven't come out already. The Listeners. Just her way of storytelling just has me completely enraptured, and I can't wait to read more of her stuff. Let's see, new fictional crush. This is a weird one. So new fictional crush would be either Theo or Boris from Goldfinch. I told you it was weird. I warned you. But probably Theo, just his emotional unavailability and crisis, tragedy, addiction. That's for me, baby. Yep. Boris, maybe in a pinch. He's a little too reckless, a little too, I don't know, a little too drunk for me, probably, because I'm pretty sure he's like drunk the entire book, even though he's like, they're like 13 in the beginning. Obviously, and the later Theo, when he's like, I don't know, I think he's like in his 20s, maybe older. Favorite new character. This one is interesting because I did not like the book that the character was in, but I love this character. I love the idea of the character. I love his creepiness, and that is the Phantom from, of course, the Phantom of the Opera, or I believe his name in the book is Eric. I read it for the first time this past year, and I really love that character. Like, he sticks with me, and just his creepiness, the uniqueness, yeah, just creeping under the floorboards, and like his what's like the word, like his cunniness. I don't know, very cool idea. But unpopular opinion, I did not like the book. Let's see, a book that made you cry this year. Another Hilderbrand, and I'd never read any of Hilderbrand before this year, and now this summer I've just been, I think I read like 4 of her books, and the one that made me cry was The Matchmaker. A little bit cheesy in some spots, and like not my absolute favorite, not as good as The Blue Bistro, but it got tears out of me for sure. I put it down and I was like, thanks a lot for that. I understand why most of her books are not in the romance section of the bookstore, because you have to have a happy ending. Like, legally, it says in the contract you have to have a happy ending for it to be considered a romance. So, and that certainly did not have one. Let's see, a book that made you happy this year. This is a very fun one. Also could be not the biggest surprise, I guess, but so that's why I put it under a book that made you happy this year, and that is Anne of Green Gables. I had such a fun time rereading this, and I just came off with like a feeling of euphoria. Like, I love Anne's innocence and imagination, and all that said, it made me want to read Heather Fawcett's, it's like her play, kind of like her enchanted play on Anne of Green Gables, and it is, what is it called? Where the Wild Things, not Where the Wild Things Grow. That's a children's book, but I forget what it's called, but there's a kid's book by Heather Fawcett. That's supposed to be kind of a retelling of Anne of Green Gables, so I really want to get my hands on that one this year. So I guess that would go under the last question, which is TBR for the rest of the year. But before that, we have the most beautiful book you bought this year, and that is Where the Dark Stands Still by A.B. Poranek. So, oh my gosh, I read this one in, I don't know, sometime last year and absolutely loved it. I finally bought it this year, like I said, when it came out in paperback, because that's how I prefer my books. And oof, just look at how gorgeous. Look at that shine in the back too, even. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Most gorgeous book I bought this year by far. And I will reread that one eventually. Not quite ready because I did just read it last year, but highly recommend if you like a little bit of a darker fantasy, a tiny bit of, there's like a decent amount of romance in it, and also has Polish folklore, which I thought was so cool, just amazing, and like has like little, was it a sprite, like a house sprite? And the back doesn't do it justice because it says, Liska knows that magic is monstrous and its practitioners are monsters. She's done everything possible to suppress her own magic. That just sounds like every other type of like YA, like magical type of book with a female protagonist, but it's so much more than that. Like the way the forest is described and like the house that she lives in and the relationships. Oof. Amazing world building in this. Amazing descriptions and really fabulous depictions of magic. Okay, that leaves us with TBR for the rest of the year. I don't really plan out my TBR. I do have a stack of books here. They're ones that I just kind of recently bought and plan on reading this year. Yep, haven't gotten to this one yet. My sister said, I think she said it made her cry. I've heard that it's absolutely devastating, so I want to get to this one pretty soon. Maybe like, I feel like that's an autumn. This is probably going to be a winter. This was recommended several times in many of her videos. Emmy Reads, the YouTube channel, she talked about this so much. I finally got a copy off of World of Books. So this is a used copy, but it's absolutely beautiful. And it looks like it's about an expedition in the Canadian Rockies, I think. Yes. Dr. Edward Byrne is on a climbing expedition in the Canadian Rockies in 1898 when he falls into a crevasse. While waiting to be rescued, he sees the figure of an angel. A stiff, upper-lip Englishman, he tells nobody, but he allows the vision to haunt him for the next 25 years. Wow, this looks like it's going to be really good. And I love descriptions of nature, which it sounds like it has a lot of, the cold nature, so I think I'm going to save this for the winter. Next up, I do want to reread this one. Not like 100%. I'm not promising that I'm gonna get to this one this year. I read it or listened to it on audiobook twice, but that was like a decade ago. And then I found this one in a Goodwill. It is one of those ones that has stuck in my memory for like a decade. These two classics, I want to get to at least one of them this year, probably this one. But these are just two classics that I bought recently, both used, obviously. But I've never read any Tolstoy and would like to give this one a shot. I have Jean Rhys's Good Morning Midnight, and I'd like to read that one first, I think, before I get into this one. So probably this one this year. Also, I love how small it is, and I think it's going to be good. Anna Karenina is the haunting drama of a woman bound by the shackles of a social system under which she lives. Okay, Anna. A Natural History of Dragons. Oh, I can't wait to read this one. I love anything about dragons, but like I don't really get into high fantasy that much, if that makes sense. And I think this is gonna be more chill. She's a dragon naturalist. She is the remarkable woman who brought the study of dragons out of the misty shadows of myth and misunderstanding into the clear light of modern science. So it's giving a little bit Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, but for dragons. But we'll see. I don't know. Tomorrow, that's just sitting here, so I'll pick it up, but I'm not gonna, I guess this is getting far away from my TBR because I'm not gonna reread it this year. This is turning into more of like a mini book haul, but I also just got this off of World of Books, and I will reread it someday. Maybe I will reread it this year. Perhaps a couple of rereads this year. Love it. But that is it. Thanks for watching. I hope I did it right. I mean, can't really do it wrong, right? I answered all the questions. And that's all I got for you today. Maybe I'll do like a bookshelf tour soon, or I really want to do just like a weekly vlog type of thing. So let me know if you'd like to see that or which you'd rather see more. But thanks for joining me, and let me know what you've been reading or if you've read any of these books on this book tag, and I can't wait to talk about books with you more. Cheers!